Hey there, this is Pam Perry. So I am so excited because we have Greg Russell with us today. He is one of those people that I just love and adore. I just told him, I said, he's always so positive and he's living the dream. When I talk about he's living the dream, you got to hear how he lives the dream and how you can too. So get out there, get known, talks about how people can get out there and get known. And he knows firsthand how people are actually doing it because he interviews all of the stars. So we'll hear from him right after this.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey there. So I told you Greg Russell was coming back. So here he is.
Welcome to the basement.
Oh my God. So we have in the background, I don't know if you can see, of some of his accolades and people that he's met. So just let me give a little bit of the formal bio of Greg. So he Movie Show Plus is one of his properties, but more than that, Greg has really been a television fixture for nearly 40 years. Started when he was a baby, right? Doesn't look like age over 45, right? Born and raised in Detroit, Motown. He actually grew up in Conant Gardens along with me. But he's really a movie reviewer, a celebrity interviewer. He said he's interviewing Kate Hudson, I think, in the next few.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right after you, but I had to put the queen first. So that's you, and Kate just had to follow.
Thank you. And he does Live in the D, which is an NBC affiliate here in Detroit. He does so many different things. When I first met Greg, again, professionally, we were both working at a radio station in Detroit. There was an AM and an FM, and the AM station was WNIC, and the FM station was a Motown Gold station, WMTG, and Greg ran that. And we used to always, I would walk past his booth, I guess you say, I don't know what do you call it, the studio, the studio, and then just would talk with him and just realize that we grew up in the same neighborhood. We had so much in common. And from that point on, and that had to be about 252 years ago, at least.
Or maybe even longer.
Maybe longer. I'm looking at my daughter.
I wasn't married at that time.
Yes.
Because you were 6 when you were working at that station.
That had to be about 30 years ago.
Yes.
And it's how everything is really like a full circle in terms of how you now are doing a podcast, I believe, for you're doing a podcast for Motown.
Yes.
All right. And you started doing the whole thing with WMTG, but you actually did some stuff before WMTG. So I want you to really tell people about how your media career has evolved and grown, and how you're jumping on planes all the time and meeting all these celebrities and doing all the things that people just really envy. And there's a saying that says, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I would say that that's probably your mantra.
Oh, absolutely. I tell that to people all the time. I've never worked a day in my life.
Yes.
I've always, enjoyed, even like I said, the very first television show I was on was a show called PM Magazine, where we're having a reunion this coming Sunday.
Helen Love, my mentor.
Yep, she'll be there.
Yes.
And I make the joke. I was 23 years old. They had me jumping out of airplanes, swimming with dolphins, doing all this other stuff. Where now I'm the guy who sits behind the booth or the table and sends out the young guy. No, you go do this. I'm not jumping out. But was able to do things like that. And like you said, just work in radio and so many different formats. Like you said, there was Motown Gold, which was one of my all-time favorites. I was also a country DJ here in Detroit at WCXI. And I need to make a movie about that. That
has to be very interesting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very hilarious time. And yeah, like you said, just been, so blessed. I've been wanting to do TV and radio and movies since I was a kid, because you went to Coralville just like I did. One time I was at a reunion for Pershing High School. That's where I would have went if I hadn't gone to U of D High.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this one guy who said, yeah, he introduced me to his wife, said, yeah, I've known Greg since, second grade. And he says, what's really cool is you were talking about what being in movies and TV back then. So it's like,
wow.
Well, I guess I kind of did know what I wanted to do.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where when we're kids, we have these dreams and they're big dreams. And it's like, you look at television, you look at the movie screen and says, I want to do that. Not necessarily not knowing how. And then as we get older, I think a lot of people give up their dreams, or they just feel like, oh, that was just a fantasy. That's something I want to do as a kid. But they really do stick with you, and it gives your soul kind of a fire. It makes you feel really alive because you're doing it. And it's like you've always felt attracted to doing TV, film, radio, all of the media. Actually, your brother too. I wanted to say that I know both his brothers. Cliff has gone on to be with the Lord. He was also in radio as well, a radio legend as well. Love Cliff Russell. And then Mike Russell, I work with at the Detroit Free Press. So we have this whole media thing going on, right? So Mike is in print, and then Cliff was in radio. Actually, me and Cliff, we went to Wayne State together, and he was working at WJZZ. And then I meet you again, and then we are connected, because even when I was working with Detroit Area Agency on Aging, with Helen Love, we were doing video, right? So all of the things, the skills that you have and the passion that you have, like you said, you don't really work. You enjoy the things that you do, and you follow your, I guess you say, your passion. Now, you went to school for this. You went to school for journalism.
The University of Detroit. Now it's Detroit Mercy.
Right.
I got a degree at that time in radio, TV, film. And the thing that I have to laugh about now, Pam, is back then they would let us take some of the equipment out, like on the weekend, where we could sign it out to do a project. The portable equipment back then, the camera was like this long, this high, this thick, and it had a cord that went from that into the record deck, which looked like a great big old tape recorder. And it would take me, my cousin Marshall, and my buddy Jimmy Bashiri, all three of us who were young at the time, to pick that stuff up and get it in the back of my car. Where right now, I'm doing my broadcast with you on my iPhone, which does, more than
which looks great. Yes.
Just how the equipment things have changed.
Yeah. So tell people, if they were really trying to decide like an encore career, and this says, you know what I really like to do is speak, or I want to do movie reviews, or I want to be how do they go about doing that? How do they start that to get out there and get known as a person who's that go-to expert? Because someone must have called you for the Motown Museum podcast, right?
Yeah. Yep. Our Robin Terry over there, we've basically been family our whole life. So she obviously has known everything that I've done. And Motown, through Hitsville Next, which is one of their new components, put this podcast, and it's called the Legacy Podcast. And what it deals with are family businesses that have gone beyond just, one generation. We had some that went maybe two, and then like Cole Funeral Home, which is right next door to Motown. That business has been around for over 100 years.
Yeah.
I think they're into their either fifth or sixth, generation.
Wow.
And they wanted us to do that because if you know any of the history, I know you do, but about like the Gordy family, Barry Gordy's father and mother, they were business owners. They had a printing company, a grocery store, I think a cleaners, an insurance company, and all this. And they got all their children involved because they wanted them to learn how to make their own money, if you know what I mean. So that's kind of like what this podcast is dealing with, about people who pass things on to their family. Because the reality is, Pam, and this sounds really kind of strange, most family businesses don't go beyond one generation.
That's true.
Because the kids will go, depending on what the business is, it's like, well, I'm not really interested in this. I want to do this. And
then that's it.
Yeah.
I see Satori Shakur, who is also a Detroit legend as well, who does Twisted Storyteller. She says absolutely true thing over there. And she's another one that I would say that follows her dream. She was with a singer, a stand-up comedian. She does the whole thing. She was with the Brides of Frankenstein. Is that Yeah, is that it? Yeah, with George Clinton,
Oh,
doing all that kind of stuff, and now she does basically storytelling, and she's excellent at it, and been doing it for years. Called Twisted Storytellers, or twistedstories.org, I believe it is. It's
yeah,
a nonprofit, so you know what I'm talking about. So,
absolutely.
so one of the things, I'm gonna let you go so you can go talk to your next interview, Kate. So, one of the things I want people to understand, that you majored in radio, TV, and film,
Right.
and you did a little bit of quote unquote acting. You never moved to Hollywood. It says, oh well, if you want to be in acting, you gotta move to Hollywood. You never moved to Hollywood. You stay right here in Detroit, and you made it work.
Yeah.
You're doing movie. The one thing that you're doing is Movie
Movie
Show
Show Plus.
Plus as
Mhm.
well. You do production as well. You do voiceovers. You do a lot of different things to make it all work. You do MCing, because
Yeah.
you've MC a couple of programs
Yeah.
for us as well. I think one for Detroit Area Agency on Aging, and then
Oh
you
yeah.
also did one for DTE as well. And it's
Oh,
like
geez.
the thing that I want people to really get out of this podcast is that when you are good at something, when you have a passion for something, you are known for something, and then you're never shy about letting people know what you do. People find you, and you get these opportunities.
Yeah.
So what was one of the most, I guess you would say, exciting or maybe turning point opportunity that you ever got, then you were pinching yourself like, wow, I can't believe this?
Well, like you said, I've been so blessed to interview so many people who I grew up adoring in movies and music. And you've known me long enough to know I'm a son of Motown, but my favorite group have always been the Beatles. And a few years back, I was at one of our award shows, and Paul McCartney was there. And I kept thinking, should I go over? Shouldn't I go over? Should I go over? Shouldn't I go over? It was like my friend who was with me told me, she said, you've been talking about this man for your whole life. Get over there. Went over, tapped him on the shoulder. I said, hi, Mr. McCartney. My name's Greg Russell. I'm from Detroit. I just had to come over and say hello. And he's going, Detroit, Motown. We love Motown. Blah, blah. And he just starts talking. And, a lot of times they say, don't meet your heroes because things may go south. Oh, my God. I loved this man before, and then just even loved him more because he was just the greatest to talk to. So nice and sincere. And when I asked to take a picture, he says, are you kidding? I've been waiting to take a picture with you. And even though I've got it hanging on the other wall, but he's got his fist under my chin. And I said, what's this for? He said, this guy from Detroit has been taking away my girls for years. And I'm going, Paul McCartney says I'm taking his girls. All right.
That's like, pinch me. Is this really
Oh,
what? And you're always on movie sets, and doing the trailers, and doing the junkins, and that sort of thing. Did you review The Woman King?
I did. I didn't do any interviews for it, but I did do it. And that's something, it was so great. I mean, it was great to see these powerful women of color on the screen. And also something I've been noticing lately, because even the interview that I'm going to be doing with Kate Hudson for her new film, the writer and director of that is also a woman.
Wow.
So lately there have been a lot of female directors, which I just think is fabulous.
They are doing the darn thing. They are doing the darn thing. I am just so proud of you, of all the different things that you're doing, and you keep reinventing yourself. You keep reinventing yourself, staying. I mean, the Movie Show Plus is a platform that basically, like you said, technology changed. You did not stay stuck with the big camera that was 100 pounds, right? So you've gone on and just changed with the times, which I want people to understand. You have to change. You can't be afraid of technology. It is your friend. And you win awards, and you're also involved in other groups and organizations as well, industry organizations as well. Yeah.
With NATAS, which is the Emmy group here. I'm a former president of the group. Yay.
I was trying to get that out of you, so I can.
Also,
so involved in things like that.
Yep. But you're absolutely right, because even I remember a few years back when I was on a junket, there was a gentleman who was a little bit older than me who was still doing the junkets. They were talking at that time about us sending their interviews in so they could put them up online. So the person was saying, okay, I said, at that time I had Dropbox, which was, at that time the big thing. I said, I can take my interviews, put them together, drop it in Dropbox and send it over to you. And the girl's going, okay, great. Then my friend, he's going, I can take it back. I can put it on a beta. We can ship it off to you. You'll have it in 2 days. And she's going, we don't have a beta deck. Because at that time, everything was going, electronically. And so I had to explain to him about, you got to stay on top. You can't just
digital.
go, right.
You
Just because if you learn how to type on a manual typewriter, you got to now learn how to use a computer keyboard. So
I did manual, then I did electric, then I did a keyboard. So I had 3 iterations of that, right? So yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. So I'm gonna let you run, but thank you so much. How do people get in touch with you, Greg? If they want you to, there's a lot of independent films and things like that. You're a movie reviewer, professional with that. How do people get in touch with you if they want you to review their movies?
Well, various ways. You can send me an email at gregrussellmovies@gmail.com, or go to Instagram and just look me up, Greg Russell Movies, there as well. I'm thinking of changing my last name to Movies because it's kind of like on the tail end of everything that I do. But
that's
like
your
that.
keyword.
Yep. And also so many people who know you, just get in touch with Pam. Pam will, get you hooked up with me. I love that.
I love connecting good people to good people, because there's some people that I have some movies that'll be coming out. One in particular, he's a radio legend as well. So I want you to connect with him as well. So thank you so much for joining us today for Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Well, you have a good rest of the day, and we will talk to you soon.
All right, I'll tell Kate Hudson you said hi, and I want to come back, so have me back.
All right, we'll do. Love you.
Love you.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com, where you help you shine like a